So, hello, greetings, and welcome.
Hi, welcome back to our wonderful podcast. So excited to see you and to be in your presence. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Sophia. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are
Good.
you?
Very good, and ready to talk about the mind today?
Yes. Oh, my goodness. We have such a wonderful and interesting episode today because a lot of times in fitness, we don't talk enough about the power of the mind and how we can apply the power of the mind in order to perfect our fitness and to get on with our fitness programs. So Linda is going to be talking a little bit about that.
It's the most important component.
It is, isn't it?
In our pursuit of health, wellness, physique, what have you. And I like to bring it back to the triune. So if we think about the triune of health, if you recall, at the top of the pyramid, in this case, we have health.
Right.
On one side of the pyramid, we have conscious eating, being aware of what you're consuming.
Yes.
On the other side of the pyramid, we have movement or exercise.
Can't get away from that one.
And at the base of the pyramid, we have the most important component to fitness, to anything that you want to achieve, is your mental, emotional, and spiritual disposition.
Right.
You need to be programmed, literally programmed for success, programmed in believing that you're going to achieve what it is you want to achieve, and then take the steps to get there.
So we're talking about mind over matter, but it's very interesting because everything, we talk about as above, so below, everything that happens in the realm of the mind, right, is not so far removed from what happens in the realm of the physical. Because, for example, your autonomic nervous system, which makes all the decisions that you don't have to think about, like your breathing and your heartbeat and all the wonderful physiological reactions that your body has, right, it all starts in the mind, in the brain. Because if you're going to decide that you're exercising, automatically your sympathetic nervous system is going to start speeding up. So you don't even have to start exercising yet. Just the thought of exercising, and your mind is already receiving commands, sending them to your brain, and your brain is sending them to your body. So I find that actually quite amazing because this is not hocus pocus. Like, oh, Linda's going to talk about the mind and it's going to be this metaphysical all up in the air. No, this is directly linked to the reactions of your central nervous system.
This is what Sophia is saying is true. Our mind is everything, and people need to understand and learn, if they don't already know. First of all, the first Hermetic axiom is all is mind. The universe is mental. As a matter of fact, a very famous physicist said the universe is looking more and more like a giant thought than a great machine.
Yes.
So we need to really think about that, because if everything comes from mind, which will be a hard pill for some people to swallow, okay, because that means that you're the originator. You are the source of whatever it is that you're experiencing.
Right.
Humans like to blame people. It's mommy, it's daddy, it's the family, it's so-and-so at work.
Yeah. 40 years later, it's still daddy, that doesn't,
No.
Take some responsibility.
Right, right. So we have to take responsibility and recognize that we are thinking every moment of our lives. Scientists say that we have 5,000 thoughts an hour. Do you remember them all?
I think I have 10, but I try not to. Sometimes I have one that kind of lingers and which of course makes sense. What we think is what we attract.
Exactly.
Right? If you're thirsty, then you're going to look around for water. If you're not thirsty, you could be standing next to a water fountain and you won't even notice, or you won't think about it because you don't need it. I think, there's the example of the red car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
When you buy a car.
Linda wanted to buy a red car.
Well, you got that story. I said I don't need a red car, believe it or not.
Okay.
But once you're focusing on a red car, you will see it everywhere. Okay? When you buy a car, I noticed that. Why, when I buy a car, I think, this is an unusual car. I don't see many of these. As soon as I buy it,
Then you start seeing
yes,
it.
and I start seeing them all over the place. It's so funny the way that works.
It is.
But we attract what we think about.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, think of, if you think of your body, right? Think of your body as a building. You're an architect. Everything starts in the mind. You're conceiving what you want to achieve, and then you're laying out the steps. You're putting it down on paper. You're thinking about what you're going to do. You get that membership to the gym. You get your workout clothes. You start thinking about the music you're going to listen to or the classes you're going to join. So now you start to make a plan. You start to visualize yourself. You start thinking about what you want to look like in a couple of months after you start your physical and nutritional program.
Yes.
And then you act on it and you implement it. And the central command starts telling your body to move.
Exactly.
And that is just absolutely fascinating how that works.
And if everybody just stopped a moment to think about it, to think of the implications of what we're saying,
Right.
it's astounding. It's astounding. Whatever you think and believe, just act as if you're in a movie, and it hasn't happened yet, but act as if it has. That's the key.
Yeah.
To believe in it and to act as if you already have it, and you will get it. And I've noticed it over the years. I start looking for evidence of it. But first you must realize that what you think about you attract,
Yes.
and thoughts create things. Your thinking and your belief system, your emotion, create reality, create manifestation. So now we're hearing it all over the place.
Yes.
We have to realize this is a real thing. What does that mean? And you can apply it to anything. Once you realize the implications of that, it's so exciting because you realize that you literally can do anything you set your mind to. Let's take Roger Bannister. I love that
Yes.
example,
Yes.
except there are many of them, but let's just take that. In Roger Bannister's day, it was scientifically, physiologically impossible for a human to break a 4-minute mile. So that means there was a box.
Right.
There was a box. And all the runners, all the fast Olympic runners, great runners, were in this box, told it was impossible to break a 4-minute mile. Well, one fine day, Richard realized, you know what, I think I could break that. And he started visualizing himself running fast. Well, what happens to your physiology when
That's
you do
amazing. That's amazing. Now the control centers are commanding him, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And he started to see the autograph seekers. He started to see back in his day, they had flashlights, the bulbs going off,
Right.
Yes. And one fine day, he catapulted himself out of the box that we are all in, believing it is physiologically impossible for a human to break a 4-minute mile. Now, I ask you, was he a Superman? Was he a Superman? No, he wasn't. He just was the first person to believe in themselves. Why do I say that? Because shortly afterward, tens of hundreds of thousands of people started to break the 4-minute mile.
Right. Isn't it amazing how that works? Because it's almost like we're all linked together, right? And some of us are a little more advanced than others. But then once we make that leap into a more advanced state of things, I guess, state of mind, since we are in the great mind of the universe.
Yes.
I feel so surrounded. So we pull everybody else up. And it is the mind that leads the evolution, right? So when we're born, we have the spirit come into us, we breathe in, our brain becomes activated, and when that happens, our mind comes into existence.
Yep.
So now what is the mind? The mind is it's a product of our soul and our spirit and our brain, and this product that is intangible is actually what defines us. We are defined by our thoughts. Everything we do is our thoughts. So when I think about it, our entire evolution as a species is an intelligent design that's led by progress. So we make progress in something, and then we evolve according to the progress that we're making.
Yep.
So when we invent clothing, and then we shed hairs, most of us, right?
Because the body doesn't
learn
need
how to use forks, and I guess our canines shrink. It's just these things that happen over the course of human evolution, where we have tangible examples of our bodies following our minds and following the progress. It's almost like it's a blueprint. And we are molding ourselves into this blueprint, right?
That's exactly right.
Right. So you're with me on this. So you guys, we when you're thinking about, to bring it back a little more into the matter, right, when you're thinking about the body that you want to have, the health that you want to have, the health issues that you want to overcome, and you're seeing yourself, right, 10 pounds leaner, straighter, your posture is better, your hair is healthier, whatever it is that you need to think about, right? And you see it, and then you take those steps to better yourself, and you start seeing that progress, and you get there.
And it all started in the mind.
And it all started with the mind.
And your thoughts.
I see people overcoming all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And this is a great industry for that.
So you need to look at your thoughts. What are you thinking? You need to be aware of your thoughts, because most people are not aware of their thoughts. There's so much of our day that is on automatic pilot. There's a lot of our thinking that is on automatic pilot as well. That doesn't work, because then you're creating by default. And what are you creating? Are you actually creating what you want? Think about that for a second.
Well,
You need to consciously be aware of what your thoughts are, and then pull the weeds out of your garden, because there's a lot of them that you don't want. So you need to be aware of your thinking and how you think about others as well, because you don't want to think about negatively about others. You don't want to have negative thoughts at all.
At all. There's negative energy. You vibrate at a lower energy when you do that.
Right.
And we have, most people are familiar with mirror neurons, right? That's what makes us human beings learn from other people. And the brain doesn't know the difference if you're seeing, a puppy get kicked in real life, or if you're seeing a puppy get kicked in movies. Right. This is why we cry at movies, because our mirror neurons, we identify, we feel this compassion, one divine element of us, right? We feel compassion, we feel empathy, and so we begin to vibrate at that frequency, because the mind, the brain, our mind doesn't know the difference if we don't learn to control it.
How about when you're sleeping?
How
about when you're sleeping? You'll have a bad dream. You'll wake up, your heart's beating fast. You actually perspired a little bit, but it was just make believe. It was just a dream. But to your mind, those pictures are real. The mind doesn't know the difference between a joke and reality. So you have to watch what you say, because some people say the wrong things to themselves. But
but so many people do that.
Right, we need to make how many people aware
at home look in the mirror and grab their fat and go, look at my gut, or look at my arms, or just start shaking and pinching, and it's horrible. Like, don't do that to yourself, right? I tell my clients, please, don't do that. You don't need to grab your belly and start shaking it to show me that you need to lose weight.
You can say, hey, that was the old me. I don't believe that anymore. I remember standing on a line once waiting to pay for my groceries at Whole Foods, and I decided, I'm thinking about my abs, and I touched my abs, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, wow. And so I'm there doing isometrics, and then that's something that shows you that's what I'm thinking about. And I thought, my goodness, I don't remember my abs, being like this. When did this happen?
She's got really good abs. Go on.
But that day they were really good from thinking it.
Yeah.
And look for evidence that thoughts create things. Look for evidence of your mind taking place in your life and creating what comes to you. All you have to do is visualize it. Well, it takes a little bit more than that when you start, but you'll get to the point where you just have to visualize it and act it out. And then the next thing you know, you're doing it, you're living it.
Yeah. And so we're thinking about learning how to observe ourselves, right? So a lot of think of learning how to control your mind the way you learn how to control your body. So we're talking about observing your thought process. If you can get into your higher self, we talk about the I versus the me feeling and absorbing and mirror neurons and television and radio and music and people, and we get caught off guard and someone cuts us off in traffic and someone calls and we're talking and we're not paying attention to where our mind takes us. And if you start observing yourself, let's say you're driving down the road and all of a sudden observe your mind. What are you thinking?
Exactly.
Are you vibrating to the frequency of the radio you're listening to? Are you absorbing the negativity that's being put on the airwaves? Are you turning on the television while you're eating, having dinner, and now all you're seeing is war and destruction and corruption and misery and oh my God, and then you have to call your friend and and everybody and you start commiserating and then you get that feeling and and that feeling permeates us.
And
so
it's powerful too. So you definitely don't want to do that.
No.
So we're talking about watching our thoughts.
Yeah.
Even when you're with family and friends, you're laughing, you're having a good time, but you notice that your loved one, your friend, your family, they're saying something that you don't think is the right thing. You know about the power of the mind. You don't want to think that way. Don't get sucked in. Just gently turn the conversation in another direction.
Right.
Because you're helping them. A famous, very famous individual once said, "When I lift myself, I lift those beneath me." So we need to grab the rail and help each other to think better about ourselves, about our lives, about our circumstances. We are the luckiest people on the planet to live here, where we live in the West on planet Earth.
And it's not easy because it's much, much easier to bond with people over negative things. First of all, because we are bombarded with negativity. And I think it's by design. It's meant to weaken our minds, right? Because when you control your mind, now you're strong. Now you realize that, you are who you are, and anybody else's reaction to you is their reaction. It's not yours. It has nothing to do with you no matter what happens. But we're so used to bouncing off of each other and reacting to each other and being so reactive that when we start observing, and without being self-righteous, right? Like you don't want to be the one, I got a headache. Oh, don't be like that. Oh, I got, there's a way of doing it, like you said.
Gently
steer
the
conversation. A nice, gentle way to bring the conversation to something positive.
Right. And we need to recognize that we all need to do this.
Yes.
We all need to listen to what we're thinking. We all need to watch our words as we're speaking them. It's good to think before you speak, but watch your words before you are speaking them, and make sure everything you say is good and positive, because that's where the strength is.
Right.
That's where the power is. If you're going to start talking negative, you're going to be vibrating up here, and you're going to go down here to this like in a flash.
And the body feels that, right? Because we are made. First of all, we're made of. Some people say 60%. Some studies say 75%, 80%. There's at least more than half of us is made of water, right? So we're very vibrational creatures.
Yes.
We vibrate. We influence each other on such levels, and we influence ourselves. So having positive affirmations and thinking kindly of yourself and saying nice things about yourself to yourself. And looking at positive things.
Yes.
And finding happy thoughts. And
you'll feel it, by the way.
Yeah.
You're going to feel the difference by living that way. And supposedly, a happy person is a healthier person.
Yeah.
It boosts your immune system when you're happy. So it's worth it.
Your leadership qualities, right?
Yep.
I was reading that people who have a lot of serotonin and who are happy and excited about life and jovial and positive have better leadership qualities than the people who are leading with negativity
and guess what? Those are just two of the benefits.
Yeah.
They're never ending.
Never ending.
Never ending. It affects every part of your life. So you need to look at yourself and look at what your conscious thinking. What am I thinking? And if you find that you're thinking a lot of negative thoughts, it's okay, because the beauty of the human body is that it is adaptable. It can change. All you need to do is change your thinking and press the button. I don't want to say that. I don't want that. Why am I thinking that? Don't blame anybody. Just say, delete it. That's all. Hit the delete button and put something better in its place. Oh, I'm fat. Delete. I'm fit. Why not tell yourself you're fit?
I'm on my way. I'm strong. I'm on my way to
Yes.
being fit. I'm on my way to losing weight. And it's these self-affirmations.
Yes.
And the way we
belief.
think about ourselves. And it's not that difficult to find something you like.
It
You
isn't.
know, and to focus on something you like and say,
Right.
you know what, thank God I'm healthy, or think of a positive thought. And if you can't find anything positive that way, look at some flowers, play with some pets,
Yeah.
do anything to get into a positive frame of mind.
To get your mind off of the
Yeah.
negative. If you look at your life right now, the things that are in your life presently, how did you attract them? You must get serious about this
Yeah.
and ask yourself, and start to be honest with yourself. How did I attract this to me? Okay.
And we don't have, it doesn't have to be a mean thing, right? Like even the people that we surround ourselves with. When we're surrounded with people who believe in good nutrition and fitness and health and happiness and positivity, they're not the ones who are going to be, pushing the chips on you. Oh, have another candy, or,
Yeah.
have another piece of cake, or, what's the use, and let's do this, right? You need to surround yourself with the positive people who bring you up. And it doesn't mean being mean to the other people, right? I'm friendly with a lot of people.
But know where they're coming from.
But how
That's
many
all.
people do I
Just know.
actually allow in my life to influence me and to influence my emotions and my decisions?
Yeah.
And from there, I know I feel the difference. Linda, when I'm down, right, and I'm feeling, sometimes occasionally eensy wincy bit, and I'm like, oh, and it zaps me of energy.
Yes, it does.
It makes me not want to
it
get up
does.
and go work out. It makes me right. So all these negative things come from that. Depressed people don't like to move.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Depressed people
Right.
sleep all the time. They don't like to move. They don't like to exercise. So if you start feeling a depression, there's sadness, there's something going on in your life, there's something, even going for a walk, taking yourself and governing yourself and pushing yourself to do something that's good for you will automatically start to make you feel better.
Yes.
Yeah.
No question. I can share times, since you're talking about that, where I was living in a nice house, but I had no furniture.
Well, I went
I'm
through that.
sleeping
I
on
moved
the
to Florida.
floor.
I go when I moved
Yeah.
to Florida.
I'm sleeping on the
30-some
floor.
years ago. Yeah.
And I didn't get out of bed, which is very rare. I mean, I'm up early every day, could not get up. And I rationalized it, and I said, what am I saying to myself? What am I telling myself to cause myself to stay down? What do I need to tell myself to get up?
Right.
And everybody has something they say to themselves, and everybody knows what they need to say to themselves. So I just
Yeah, there's always that one thing.
something, something. And it could be like, I told myself I'm a goddess and I live in the kingdom. And that
Oh, that's
made
a
me
good
jump
one.
up. That made me jump up. Listen, whatever it takes.
Well, I would say to myself, well, at least I didn't let myself get overweight, I mean,
Whatever it takes to
whatever
get
it takes, whatever helps. It's those private
Yeah.
little thoughts,
Yeah.
we have to be
We have to use them when we
transparent.
need them.
Yes.
And when we see
Beautiful.
ourselves thinking negative, we have to say, okay, don't get down on yourself. You remember we said you have to be your own best friend. Just take that negative thought and convert it to a positive thought. But that's the old me thinking that stuff. There's still remnants of the old me, but one day it'll be gone.
The residual poo-poo. That's right. That we try to get rid of. And now we're looking at all the opportunities that we have. Right? So with body wellness, I mean, there's no way around it. If you want to get fit, you get onto the Body Wellness website. You're going to find a way to get fit. Right? If you want to get fit and you want to take care of yourself and you set your mind to it, nothing will stop you from achieving your goal. There is a lot of information out there. We're giving out a lot of information. The website has a lot of information.
Yep.
The classes have a lot of information. Extraordinary instructors, all kinds of classes, right? If you like water, you got water. You want aerobic, you got aerobic. You want to dance, you can dance. You want to lift weights, you can lift weights. You want to do yoga, you can do yoga.
But you know what you should do first is you run the movie of you acting that role. They say that we aren't the star of our lives, the movie, My Life, but you're the director, the producer, the writer.
Yeah.
Okay? So I remember what I did. This is where I deliberately used what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I wanted to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day. And, I was getting up much later. What I decided is, wait a minute, if the mind doesn't know the difference between something that's real or something that's imagined, I'm going to see myself in my mind's eye getting up every day at 4 a.m. Today, it is a reality. How long did it take? I don't know. Half a year, 8 months, whatever it was. It doesn't matter. I'm doing it now.
Yes. I found, the other day, I found a letter that I wrote to myself when I was 15 years old. Right? I found it in some papers that my mother had kept. And in this letter, I wrote to myself that I was going to live in a place that had palm trees, and I was going to live by the water, and I was going to, and I put all these things down, right? And at the time, I was living in freezing Canada, and this was like many moons ago. And when I found this letter and I started reading it, and I went, oh my God, look at this,
It happened.
right?
Yep.
It happened, and so many people were telling me, oh, don't, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't. And it's
Right.
and I did it anyway
Exactly.
because the movie.
Yep.
Because being the
You
star
wrote the
of my
script.
movie.
You wrote the script.
Okay. I'm like
You wrote the
I wrote
script.
the script and I went for it and I did it. And then when it came to fitness and to health, I've always been active. Always liked to move and I had goals for myself. I didn't and I still don't. But the primary reason why I began to exercise was that I did not want to grow old and sick, right? I did not want to be sickly and weak, and I didn't want that happening to me. So I started working out to prevent and delay things that I didn't want to do. I didn't want that to happen to me.
You
Right?
know what, Sophia? I just have to say this
What?
because it's getting close to the end of our show. Everybody's talking about AI. I drove to work and I was listening
Yeah, I
to
just
a podcast
downloaded
on
an AI that knows everything.
Yeah, something on AI.
My phone knows everything now. Everything.
But I laughed.
Yes.
I laughed at it because humans don't realize that you're just as powerful or more powerful than AI. But most people think they're weaklings. Most people act as if we're peons. And if that's what you're thinking and that's how you're acting, that's what you believe, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, we are unlimited, and we put the limits on ourselves that we experience. So you've got to really take that into consideration. You really got to think, how am I limiting myself? What do I believe that is holding me back? You have to ask yourself those questions. And
Give that positive self-talk of
Yeah.
I am good enough, I am nice enough, and darn it, people like me. Right? Wasn't that St. John Smiles from SNL?
but you need to believe that.
Yeah.
You need to believe that,
Yes.
and you need to act that way.
Yes.
And you have to pull the weeds out of your garden.
Yeah. You are powerful beings, and we are looking forward to our next episode. And Linda, until
Yes.
then.
Yeah, and until then, we'll see
gonna-
you next week, and it'll be on the mind again, because
Yes,
we're going to do a part
we're gonna
2 on the
do a part
mind.
2.
And we hope to see you then. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for joining us.